Edition. My name is Etoma Edu. And
Rise and shine in Nigeria. It is time for breakfast, and what better way to start your morning than breakfast with us here on the TVC Breakfast Show. As usual, we've got quite the spread for you. Thank you for choosing to join us this morning. I'm Olamide Odekunle.
Good morning, Nigeria. It's time for another round of discussions on issues that affect our economy and politics. My name is Biolushomi.
Good morning, guys. The table is a little bit different today.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It is indeed.
Yes, somehow. Ibrahim is not here.
Ibrahim
Ria
is not here. Ria is not here. So we have to hold the fort until the show up, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I was driving here this morning at Toma, and in a small shed close to Yaba, I saw a group of men and they were huddled around. Guess what they were doing?
What?
They were watching TVC.
Are you serious?
Yes. And I stopped and said, "You're going to see me on there on 7. Make sure you watch." And they said, "Okay." So they're watching right now.
Okay. Well, it's going to be a beautiful show today, I believe, and I hope you're going to stay right there and be part of it. Shortly, Olamide will be taking the newspapers, and after that, we'll go into discussions that we'll be having today. Today, you really just have to stay around and enjoy what we have served for you. And Mr. Showmi will be doing a lot of analysis today, that I can assure you, because we are looking into political issues that need a little bit of clarification. But before we go into all that, let's take this. The senior Ansaru commander have been convicted by the Federal High Court in Abuja after pleading guilty to terrorism financing, kidnapping, illegal mining, and other terrorism-related offenses. The convictions followed a dramatic change of plea by the defendants, who asked the court for mercy. Senior reporter Celestina Iria reports.
Two suspected Ansaru commanders, Mahmoud Usman, also known as Mahmoud al-Nijiri, and Abubakar Abba, also known as Abu Bara, have pleaded guilty to a 32-count charge bordering on terrorism financing, kidnapping for ransom, illegal mining, fabrication of improvised explosive devices, and other terrorism-related offenses. The defendant also admitted coordinating sleeper cells, planning attacks, and maintaining links with terrorist groups operating across the Sahel and Marab regions. The pair changed their plea from not guilty to guilty before Justice Emeka Weti of the Federal High Court in Abuja. At the arraignment in September 2025, Mahmoud Usman had pleaded guilty to a single count of illegal mining to finance terrorism and was sentenced to 50 years in prison, but denied the remaining charges. Abubakar Abba had pleaded not guilty to all counts. During the trial, the prosecution called a DSS operative identified only as AAA, who told the court the defendant confessed to receiving weapons training in Libya belonging to Ansaru and participating in several kidnappings, including that of Musa Umar Uba, an in-law of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Following the guilty plea, the prosecuting counsel, David Kwase, urged the court to convict them immediately under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. The defense counsel appealed for leniency, describing the guilty plea as an act of repentance and willingness to cooperate with security agencies. In an emotional plea, Abubakar Abba told the court he was remorseful, disclosed that he had 19 children and health challenges, and begged for mercy. Justice Wete subsequently convicted both men on all 32 counts. The court sentenced them to multiple prison terms, ranging from 15 to 35 years, with life imprisonment on 2 counts. The sentencings on counts 1 to 29 and count 32 will run concurrently from the date of their arrests. Celestina Iria, TVC News, Abuja.
And now, following this court ruling, we hear that the Department of State Services is considering appealing the life sentence for the 2 senior Ansaru commanders to get maximum penalty because of the murdered Orire teachers. Now, this is, I don't know how to describe it, Mr. Showmi. I mean, they beheaded that teacher in a very gruesome and unforgiving way, and they're asking the court for mercy.
Look, I can understand the sentiments of the DSS. It's quite clear that they not only kidnap people, school children, including their teachers, they cause the lives of some soldiers, including a lieutenant colonel in the Nigerian army, a lieutenant in the Nigerian army, and then also beheaded, a teacher. Why would anybody be so cruel to do that over their claim that he didn't hand over his mobile phone? And it also led, I think 2 teachers died in the process. Now, we've seen the conviction. They've been sentenced to life imprisonment, but it seems the DSS seems not happy with that.
Yes.
Wanting a death sentence. For me, of what use is the death sentence when nobody is executing it in the country? Apart from, I feel that people tend to regret their actions if they spend a longer time or the rest of their life in prison. If you exterminate them, these are people who are already willing to die. Some of them wanted to be seen as a martyr before they went into that very action. So staying in prison for the rest of their life without the option of parole or pardon, that's what is missing in my view. That there must be a court order saying you can never be pardoned by anybody in the country. So they would, for the rest of their life, regret. I understand the sentiment that, again, the taxpayers will have to feed them, for the rest of their life and all that. But the truth of the matter is they deserve the harshest punishment possible on earth. But at the same time, we have to get the balance right between the right of the state, to preserve life, and then ensure that people actually suffer for the crimes they commit, retributive justice, and then try and balance that against human rights concern. Because when you keep applying death penalty, what about what happened in the case of wrongful conviction, and eventually the person has been killed? So I think they are better left in prison for the rest of their lives. So be it.
Well, Olamide, do you agree with that? Better kept in prison for the rest of that. These guys have shown that they are really, really cruel, and there's nothing that's beyond them. The casual way the teacher was beheaded, the fact that they kept the children for 56 days, and in the process, two teachers died, and in the rescue mission, we lost some gallant Nigerian security officials. What's your take?
I understand Mr. Shomi's stance on the death penalty, but I have to ask myself, and I urge us all to ask ourselves this question. What happened to the death penalty these people hand mercilessly to civilians that they kidnap? Children, teachers, all sorts of people, mercilessly. To even think that this person has the mouth to stand before a court and say, I have 19 children. In this moment, you're expecting us to humanize you when you fail to humanize those people who also had families, who also had children, who were also breadwinners and fathers and sons, or perhaps even daughters. It's a shame. How we handle cases like this will tell us everything about our counter-terrorism strategy. We have to send a clear message. Now, whether that is by life imprisonment without the option of parole or death penalty. But one thing I know for sure is that justice should prevail.
Yes.
And the reason I say this is because what do you say to the grieving families?
Yeah, exactly.
That now these people are in a prison, they'll be eating food, they'll be drinking water. Mr. Shomi, it's taxpayers' money, whether we like to admit it or not. Because it's the state that will pay for these people to stay in a prison. And even if you want to argue that the state of our prisons are deplorable or the prison complex is less than savory, these people are still alive. When we even look at Ansaru, they broke away from Boko Haram in the year 2012. They're even a bit more sophisticated. They've targeted foreigners. They have very high intelligence. They knew what they were doing. There's no plea. So I believe that the DSS here is trying to set a precedent in a court of law. But I would say, as Ibrahim would say, if he was sitting on this chair, send them to their makers.
No, I think we need to look at this issue more carefully. On the part of the DSS, part of what led to this decision to appeal it was because they had already raised their intention, to plead guilty, only to change the plea after the children were kidnapped, and then we're expecting to get released, as a sort of quid pro quo. And then because the Nigerian government now refused to say, look, we're not going to release you, we're not going to bargain with these people, we'd rather, get the children freed one way or the other. They eventually, after the children were freed, they now decided to change back to guilty plea. So I think that's one of the issues for DSS. They felt they're being manipulated.
Yes, because it actually proves that they are being manipulated. Yeah. And my concern is that, like Olamide mentioned earlier on, the deplorable state of some of our prisons. you know, and the fact that these people have shown, how do I put it, they have been shown daring enough to attack military installations, military barracks, and so on. You know, what stops them from attacking those prisons?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's number one. Then number two, they have also shown capacity as far as technology is concerned. So if they are given the life imprisonment, what assurances do we have that they will not keep running their cells from the prison because of technology?
That is very valid.
So these are the things that we're
those
looking
are
at.
valid issues, but I don't think anybody in prison is allowed to use mobile phone or to use some other forms of technology, except probably if you are studying. I mean, we should encourage people in correctional services, you know, to go to school and pick up some skills or level of. But the point at the end of the day is that no matter how we look at this issue, the course of justice has been served. You know, the fact of the matter, like if you speak to some lawyers, they will tell you that if you plead guilty, you need to be given some credit, you know, for not wasting the court's time. There's also a cost to every case. And
obviously, that's why they are lawyers.
At the end of the day, what matters to me is that these guys should never be
the
able
light
to
of day.
Like,
And we know that the European Union also abolished capital punishment. We know other countries are finding other ways to deal with these people, Mr. Shomi.
How many death sentences have been signed in Nigeria? Go and look at it.
And how
so
many
at times
have
we
been
just
executed?
impose the death sentences and we know they won't get executed. So of what use is it?
If we had more time, I'm sure we would have gone deeper into this issue, because apart from being emotional, it is something that really needs to be discussed. So we'll take a break now, and when we come back,